Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Deutz Fahrm here on Altenstein. Actually, I just need to quickly check. Am I producing straw? No. Now I am. There we go. So, this is part 2, or episode 2. We are busy chomping the straw. Even this straw actually has got a custom texture. You can just see it just changes colour ever so slightly as it goes through the header there. Like I said, just about everything has a custom texture in this. I was amazed just how many of these crops did. When I first saw the map, I didn't think this many crops had a custom texture, but I think it's pretty much every single one of them apart from the grass. Really tied up against these trees and bushes here, so we have to do a couple of headlands along here, or else I'm just not going to have the space to turn. Creating all this straw here so we can bale this up afterwards. We still have the straw from our barley harvest that needs to be baled as well, so we'll do all 3 fields because we have another wheat field to go after this. We have 3 fields that are going to need baling up. And then after that, it'll be time to start prepping the fields, I think, for our first proper harvesting. So ploughing them, cultivating them, fertilizing them, seeding them, all that fun stuff. And I've sped time up a little bit as well, so we're now running it 5 times. This is my preferred kind of speed now. When I first started, I used to play, back on Farming Sim 15, I used to run at 15 minutes or 15 times normal speed. That was kind of like my default speed setting. And then every now and again, usually when I got a great demand and you had that hour, because that's how it used to work on 15, you could sell as much as you want, but as soon as the hour changed, the price would change. And when you got a great demand, it was a case of just sell as much as you could in that first hour before the price, well, not so much with great demands. I think with great demands the price stayed the same. It's been a while actually since I played 15, very long while, so I can't 100% remember, but I do remember with normal grains you could sell multiple trailers worth and it stayed the same until that hour ticked over, and then your price would plummet based on how much you'd sold. So whenever I wanted to sell stuff, I would always wait till the start of a new hour, then immediately go to 1 time speed, sell everything. Sometimes I would even have it all parked up waiting as well, just to give me that extra little boost of time, and then just transport and sell everything I could before that hour ran out, and then speed time back up again afterwards. And when I started playing this, I kind of played a lot on just regular standard time. Didn't really use 15 times that much. But more recently, especially since I've been doing these Let's Plays, I've found that 5 times is a good speed. I think it's not too fast, it's not too slow. It gets you some progression through the day, and I think it's about the right kind of speed setting for the work that you do. So if you've got a lot of stuff to do, a good gaming session will clear an entire day from start of the day to finish of the day. But a short session will get you probably about halfway through the day, which isn't too bad, I think. So I was having a quick look through some of the mods. As you know, whenever I do a new series, I like to try and change up the mod selection a little bit. Use stuff that I haven't really featured that much at all, or haven't used in a while. I don't like to use stuff repeatedly over and over again in different playlists, because it just kind of I like to give a little bit of choice and a little bit of difference between the stuff that I use on each farm. because otherwise it all starts to get a little bit samey. If you keep using the same gear over and over again, you know, then there's no variety at all. You're just on a different setting, but you're using the same tools and the same equipment. And I was kind of planning as to some of the stuff that I'm going to be adding into the farm. And obviously, we discussed last time out. We discussed, you know, that I'm going to need at some point a new seeder, and the one I'm looking at is the Lemken Azuret, which is a 6-meter seeder. It doesn't cultivate, so we will still have to cultivate our fields. But it does come in two options: one with a fertilizer tank and one without. And the fertilizer tank is kind of a remodeled tank from the Amazona spray kit. When it first came out on console, it was the same color as the tank from the Amazona spray kit. It was the sort of green banding with the orange tank. It has now been kind of updated and refreshed a little bit. It's now grey and dark grey, or grey and black. But it's still essentially the same model. But it's a wonderful little seeder. I really, really do like it. And it's not that big on the tank capacity. I think it's like 600 litres of seed, maybe 500 litres. It's pretty small. So, despite it being a 6-metre seeder, and actually it's going to cost me a fair bit of money as well. It's going to cost me around 60 grand. It's not a massive capacity, so we will still have to kind of be active on the refilling, which is another reason why I quite like that one. You know, we could just have a seeder with a 3,000 plus tank capacity, and we'd never refill it. You know, the fields are so small. You know, we'd do a field and we'd barely see any drop in the volume of seed still in the tank, and we could run, you know, a couple of dozen episodes easily and still not have refilled that seeder. So by keeping a smaller seed tank, again, it's keeping in theme with the small farm and the need to keep that, you know, topped up on a more regular basis. It feels right to do it that way, I think. And we were discussing tractors as well, as what we could possibly bring in. Maybe a Hurleyman, maybe a Lamborghini. I want to actually check something, because I was thinking about that, and I can't remember if they brought back the mini Lambo. I know that they did that in Farming Sim 15, and I think it might have been a DLC tractor for this. I just want to check and see, is the little Lambo still here? No, it's not. I wasn't sure if the little Lambo was still around. We do have, obviously, the big one here. It's 224 horsepower. It's a big old beastie, but I mean, it's almost identical. Well, it is identical. Essentially, it's just a different body style, but it's essentially absolutely the same as the Deutz Fahrm Series 7. And out of the two, it's going to be the Deutz Fahrm Series 7. Yeah, for this farm, it's a Deutz tractor, and I'm doing a Deutz themed farm. So, although Lambo are owned as part of the same parent company, it's just not the same. So, right, so I'm going to cut through this little brook again, because our next field is just off the road. So drive very carefully through here, and you know, I just want to jump out and have a look at this a second. It kind of, even though it's kind of painted stone, it almost gives you the feel of the way it's been done. It almost looks like water breaking a little bit, you know, from a distance as you drive through it. You don't immediately just associate that with stone. It kind of tricks you a little bit, and it looks as though it's kind of like water just rippling around some rocks. I don't know, maybe I've been playing too much Mud Runner and seeing, you know, the water breaking around the wheels, and it's triggered that kind of, you know, mental response from me to make me think that it's not, you know, the stone, but it's actually the water rippling instead. Beacon on. Avoid the truck. And I think this is our field, actually, isn't it? Yeah, this is our field here, field 18. So we're really close to the road. as you can see. This one's going to be a little bit trickier, and we've got some. I'm going to keep the beacon on for this one, because we are operating so close to the road. We've got this kind of little divide with weeds here along the side of this field, with some trees, and then I think on the other side we've got a barbed wire fence, which has a little grass paddock between this and then the next field. So we might do a little bit of mowing in there. I kind of want to get some silage underway. Not so much to raise the money, but just that I've got the materials for TMR. I mean, I want to get some money raised, because to fund the equipment to get us started on this map, I did have to dip into the loan a little bit. So this is a hard map. I'm playing on hard difficulty. A lot of my maps recently have been on sort of medium, but this one I wanted to do on hard, because I thought, it's a small map and it's given us a huge amount of equipment for the size of the map, and it's given us most of the equipment that we're going to need. There's very little actual bits and bobs I need. The rest is just going to be kind of upgrades. So I thought it would be quite nice to do this one on hard, because then it gives me a reason to work for that money. If I already have everything I need and money's not an issue, then there's no challenge on this map. So a hard map with terrible prices and really low grain income really does make this map a bit more of a challenge, I think. There's that wire fencing there separating us from the little grass paddock there. And we're on a curve as well, so it's not a straightforward kind of cut across. I mean, you can see there the curvature of the field, so I don't know whether or not to cut across. I think, yeah, I'm going to do one pass along the bottom just to give me a little bit more space, but I don't know if I'm going to be driving in a straight line here. I guess it doesn't really matter too much. The rest of the bit just there, I'm not going to worry about in terms of dropping straw down. I think just back up a bit. I'm going to disable my straw swath for a second. I think I may possibly damage part of the crop there as well, and that reversing in a not quite straight line. But I'm just going to chew this bit up just to clear this bit off. Not dropping any straw here. There we go. I've been using a truck like that on spin tyres just recently to do some of my logging. It's it's kind of weird how you see something in one game and it just immediately makes you think of a different game. It's one of those things that it has always been the case with me. I mean, for the longest time, anything I heard or saw, I could in some way relate to South Park, because I'm a huge fan of South Park. Absolutely love that show. And someone could say something, would be pretty much anything, and I could find a way to link it to South Park almost instantly. It just naturally happened. People with Asperger's, like myself, we tend to have a very limited kind of focus on interests. Oh, damn it! Grain tank's full. I've just squashed a bit of grain there. That's not good. Yeah, we tend to have a little bit of a limited focus when it comes to things. We focus very intently on a very narrow, extremely limited range of topics. But what we do focus on, we focus on so intently that we just have so much information about it bouncing around in our heads. And because I'm such a huge fan of South Park, I could just think of take anything, any kind of situation, and immediately it would just trigger a South Park kind of reference or link in my head. I'm a massive fan of Formula One as well. I've been really enjoying this season. It's been a great season to watch, and I can still recall, so clearly some of the stuff I used to watch when I was a kid. I mean, I followed it, since sort of the late '80s, and so I've been watching Formula One now for nearly 3 decades, about 3 decades, and I can reel off every single champion in order for the last 30 years or so without even thinking about it. Beyond that, because it's before I started watching, I kind of know who won titles, but I don't know exactly when. But the stuff that I've seen and the stuff that I watched and I grew up and have a strong memory association with, I can just reel off instantly. It's just the way my brain works. It's kind of weird. Right, let's turn the engine off. Let's jump back in the combine. Let's get this unload finished, and then we can finish this field off. There we go, so put the arm away. A little bit of straw sticking out at the end of this field. So yeah, I get distracted quite easily as well. I can just distract myself. I lose my train of thought by suddenly talking about something else. Going back to equipment, we're talking about some of the things that I want to kind of bring in. We still need a bale wrapper. So because I've got the Ursus bale stacker, I'm going to go with the Ursus bale wrapper. Again, there is the McHale bale wrapper mod that's come out that I haven't used yet, and I kind of really want to use. But again, going back to the point I made in the last one with the Keenan feeder, it's an Irish branded piece of agricultural equipment, and it would have worked brilliantly on Drummond Farm, but we weren't doing round bales on Drummond, and had that equipment been available at the time, we probably would have done. On this one we are doing round bales, but I'm doing mainland European branded equipment to try and keep a recurring theme. So the McHale wrapper is going to just be a little bit out of place, and they do have distribution throughout mainland Europe as well, but I'm using Ursus for the bale stacker, so I may as well keep that Ursus connection and use the Ursus bale wrapper as well. Beyond that, there are a couple of different choices for a straw blower. There's a black sheep mod for, I think it's a Gyrax. I think that's how it's pronounced, Gyrax. I'm not entirely sure. Straw blower mod that they came out with, which is very similar to the feed mixer that we've got. It's basically a sort of flat attachment that can sit on the front or back of a tractor, and it has no wheels. It's not like a trailer. It's something literally you just mount and then put down again when you finish with it, and that works in pretty much the same way. You just roll a bale in, you fold the side up, and then it just spits straw out. We could use that, or I could keep the Kuhn link going, because we have got the Kuhn Kuhn baler, the VB baler, and we could get the Kuhn Primor round bale shredder. And I checked, it is actually the Primor. I wasn't sure last time out if that was the right name, because I know that there is a square baler as default equipment in this game, and then they brought back the round bale shredder as a mod. The square baler can actually hold 2 square bales. We used that on, which map did I use it on? I think it was American. Was it American Outback? Or was it Big Bud Farm? I honestly don't remember. I don't think it was Big Bud Farm. It must have been American Outback, but I did use that And no, tell a lie, that was on Drummond Farm. We had one on Drummond Farm, and then I sold it. I started doing loose straw instead and bought the hayloft and stuck that in next to the cows. So I have used that one. I haven't used the Primor, the round bale shredder on Farming Sim 17. I had it installed for a while and never used it, and then I uninstalled it. I've reinstalled it for this map, and I am going to use it this time. I think that is definitely going to be the one. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need. I mean, in terms of fertilizing, I'm probably going to upgrade the fertilizer kit that we have, and I'm not sure whether or not to go with a sprayer or not. You know, we've got, you know, the Amazona spray kit that we could use. It's smaller than the Kuhn spray kit. I mean, we could keep that Kuhn link going, but I think the Kuhn sprayer is just a little bit too big for this map. You know, it's got a very wide reach, much wider than the Amazona reach, and I just think it would be a bit too big for this map. So if I do go with a sprayer, and in all honesty I probably won't, then that would be the one to go for. But there are other options that we could perhaps look at for fertilizing as well. So I'm still undecided exactly what I want to do with that. And I'm unsure about the trailer as well. I've been toying with the idea of getting rid of the Brantner trailer and replacing that with something else. But again, I'm not 100% certain what I want to replace it with. There's quite a few choices out there, and I'm not sure which one would be the best one to suit the theme of the farm. So if you have any suggestions for mods that are on console that you'd like to see featured on this, then obviously, you know, let me know in the comments. But do try and keep them sort of themed with what I'm trying to do with the map and the equipment that we're using so far. So try and keep them sort of mainland European brands where possible, and don't make them too big either. You know, like I said, this is a small farm, it's a small map. We're not going to be using large equipment. I seriously doubt we'll need to get to a point where we'll need to go up, all the way up to a Series 7 Deutz. I think, you know, if we are going to bring in a third tractor, it's almost certainly going to be the Hurleyman. And then it's a choice of which of the two Hurleymen do we go for. Do we go for the really old, tiny one, or do we go for the slightly more modern one? I really don't know on that one. The older one would fit the age period of the tractors that we already have, but the newer one just is awesome. So, undecided on that as well. Yeah, if you have mod suggestions, there's a piece of equipment out there that you haven't seen used and you'd like to see used, then let me know in the comments. I will have a look at it and I'll see if I can find a way to work it into the farm if I think it's you know, a good suggestion, you know, that you know, fits the theme and style of what I want to do on this map. You know, all suggestions are welcome, but I can't promise I will act on them. Spin around, almost done on this field. It's not a bad sized field, this, actually. We've got quite a lot of straw on here. We can get quite a few good bales, and my next worry is that the round bales are going to roll into traffic. I really hope I really hope that's not the case. We'll see. I could always do the little trick of turning the baler at an angle so that the bales go out and roll. If they are going to roll, they won't roll into traffic, but I don't really want them rolling into other fields either, especially fields that, you know, might have crop on them, because then I'm going to have to damage the crop to get the bales back, or just leave the bales there until it comes to harvest time and then try and harvest around bales. And I've tried doing that before and it's not fun. So yeah, baling on these hills with round bales is going to be a real challenge. Obviously square bales would just sit quite nicely on the ground. These ones are going to roll on some of these fields. That is just inevitable. You know, so making sure that they don't roll too far and too fast is going to be very important, I think. We might actually be able to get all of this straw in one pass. All of this hay. I don't think we can. I think some of this this wheat is going to be we're drifting away a bit. See, I do think it was a bit of a tall order to try and get it all in a single pass. When you don't have perfectly sort of squared edges on your fields, then you do tend to get these little drifts naturally occur in your field widths. But it also might just be down to my terrible harvesting skills when it comes to in-cab harvesting. I like to think it's maybe just a combination of both. It's not entirely my fault. Yeah, we'll comfortably get the rest of this done without having to unload again, so... Well, this is the last of the fields that we have available to harvest. Our corn is just there. You can just see it there through that tree. I don't think it's ready to harvest yet. It's getting close though, and we still don't have a header for it. And I don't even know if I can afford to lease a header right now. Plus, we have the beets on field 13. We have no equipment whatsoever for that, so we are definitely going to have to lease some equipment for the beets. Right, can I get through? No, can't. Alright, so let's just drive this down to the bottom of the field and unload again at the bottom. Let's open the arm up. There we go. See that little flap there? Just getting pushed out the way by the arm. I have noticed on this map that the mirrors tend to die out every now and again at certain angles and positions on the field. I think it's just because of the way the map has been coded. Right, so engine off. Let's go back and get the tractor. Just running the lines here. You can see I have wobbled a little bit in places. Not exactly what you'd call the straightest of straw lines, but they're pretty good. They're decent. And we do actually have access through here. That's good to know. That corn is looking really close to being ready. Oh, it is ready now. It wasn't before, but it is now ready. I thought it was looking a little bit riper than the last time I saw it. So into our little agro star. I wonder if we've got a decent enough price for wheat, because we're going to have almost a full trailer. Not quite. We've got an 8,500 litre capacity. We're going to have around about 7,800, I think. Closing in on 8,000 litres. Let's just check the prices. What have we got for wheat? Bad, bad, very bad, very bad, and not quite as bad, but still pretty bad. Yeah, I think we're going to be hanging on to our grain for a little while. Alright, let's check out how much is it going to cost me for a corn header. The small one here, I mean, we're working on a 4.2 metre width, so I don't really want anything wider than that. The New Holland one is 4.5, but I want something that's not branded. So that would be a Capello, and the smallest Capello there is 6 metres, so it is going to be this first one, which is 3 metres. That's going to take a while to get the harvesting done. How much is that to buy? Oh, it's only 12,000. That's not too expensive. So it'll be quite cheap to lease one of those, I would imagine. Yeah, less than £1,000. We could do that right now. But I'd rather buy one if I can. How much is my beet harvesting equipment going to set me back? Beets. So one of these is going to set me back 1,360. Not lease that just yet. And how much is this going to set me back? Oh, Christ. Over £7,000. Yeah, I think we're just going to plough those. Wow. How's our pigs looking? Because this is the thing. I mean, we have pigs, so we are going to need beets. I mean, their feed thing is pretty full, so it's going to be a while before we need beets. I might just plough that field over. I don't know. We haven't got what's the word I'm looking for? Withering. That's it. We haven't got withering turned on, so I could just leave those beets as they are. and then as and when we need them, then we can harvest them. It means we are going to drop down to 6 fields, but I mean 13 is such a small field. I don't think it's really going to be, you know, that much of an impact on us if we don't have that field available to work for a while. So, I mean, where is field 13? Let's take a quick look for 13. Actually, it should be. Oh, it's there. Look, that's 13. I should probably turn in here so I can turn around and not hold up traffic. Yeah, this is field 13 here with our sugar beets. Yeah, and even the beets, look, they've got a different texture. You can see these leaves, they're a little bit, I wouldn't say browner, but they're a very, they're a dirtier shade of green, I think. And there's more variance in the leaf colour than you would see normally, I think. So, yeah, even the beets have a custom texture. Just going to very cheekily turn around on neighbour's field just here. There's nothing on it, so we're not damaging anything. It's a little bit naughty. And pull into the farm, dump off our grain. Actually get around this time. It's a little bit tight. I'm trying to get in the habit of not using that area for turning it, because I want to store my beets in there, so that area is going to end up being, you know, blocked off in that respect. We're going to have stuff in there, so I don't want to get in the habit of using that to turn around in, because there will come a time when I won't be able to. And there we go. Beets done, so let's put the trailer away. I suppose we could do the corn header, actually. Yeah, we'll do the corn. So that's 16, isn't it? Is there another way over to 16? Is there more than one access point? 16 is behind 17, behind those trees. I wonder if I can actually get through up this path. Let's take a look. I've done some exploring on this map, but not a huge great deal. I don't like to over-explore if I'm going to do a series, because it kind of takes some of the fun out. And yes, we can. Look, we can get through this way. So I'll leave this parked up just here, like that. Now, if I run along the edge of the field, get back to where our combine is. Our combine's actually through the trees, isn't it? It's cut through the trees just here. We'll stay off the field that we don't own. It's only polite. Through the weeds. And we need to drop off our grain header. Fold the arm back in. And we're going to go and lease a corn header, pick it up, use it, and then sell it, I suppose. Well, not sell it, return it. I don't like the thought of taking this combine all the way into the town, but we don't really have a choice. I mean, we're so poor at the moment, I can't even afford a pressure washer for the farm. So, I can't look out my window there. I'll have to try and do this just by feel and using these side mirrors. This could be interesting. I think we judged that reasonably well. So let's lower the header and then detach it so we don't just drop it straight to the ground. Again, I'm trying to look out a back window and there isn't a back window to look out of. Gotta stop doing that in the combine. It's it's just one of those driving habits from driving tractors, I don't think I'll ever break that. But we'll get our corn done. And then that might be it for this episode as well. So, you know, at least get another field harvested. And then we can get started on, you know, the baling next time out, get all that out of the way. And then potentially even start the cultivating and the ploughing. We'll see how the time goes in the next episode. Ooh. Right, so here we are at the farm, at the shop, the Deutz dealership. So let's lease the header that we want, one of these. Colour doesn't really matter, but we might as well. That's going to cost me an extra 500, or an extra 125. So yeah, let's not bother changing the colour. If I was going to buy one, yes, I would, but there's no point wasting money on a lease when it's only for one field. Really small. It doesn't fold or unfold in any way, which kind of makes sense, really. I mean, it's tiny. Look at the size of it. Is our beacon on? No, well, it should be. I get the feeling we should probably drive like this at times as well, just because, I mean, it's great doing all the stuff in cab, but we're missing out on such a picturesque little village every time we drive through it. So maybe I'll start, you know, mixing it up a little bit, putting in some sort of external footage like this. Here's our little turn. This could be tricky. There we go. Over that nicely. The field goes across, doesn't it? We're probably going to have to do headlands again, just simply so we don't get in the way of everything. We only have a 3 metre working width, which is the same width as our combine, so kind of really chomping our way through this corn at, yeah, the same height of it. Can I get a screenshot out of this? And maybe we'll see. We'll see how that one comes out. Let's go back in cab. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to do a headland at that end as we go further along. It is a little bit tight against those fences. And I don't know if it's just me or because I'm in a smaller combine, but this corn seems higher as well than I'm used to. I don't know if that's the custom crop texture or if it's just the fact that we're in a much smaller combine than I usually use. So I'm sitting a bit lower down. It could be either. It could be a combination of both. But I mean, I can't even see over the top of it. It just feels that tall. And I am going to do a headland up this end, just the one, just to give us a little bit of extra turning room. I don't want to run over someone else's crop, especially when you know, we might potentially want to do business with that farmer and buy his field off him at some point in the future. It'd be a bit cheeky to destroy his crop. And I haven't been up this side here, so a nice little sort of dirt path there. That I do know goes all the way round to the far side of the map, out towards the bakery and the spinnery and the exit in the map. But you know, around here, this little bit here, I've not been up this bit before either. It's quite nice over here. Yeah, look how high we are with this corn. do think it is slightly taller than it would normally be, even though we are kind of sitting down lower with this in this different tractor. I've noticed as well the driving position. He just looks like he's hunched over the wheel, like he's crammed in. It just looks really, really kind of bizarre. Let's go back into the cockpit again. Get our straw harvest, our corn harvest done. This is going to be the final action of this particular episode, is getting this field harvested. I mean, it's still going to take us a little while to do. I mean, we're only working at 3 meters a pass, and only working at 6 miles an hour as well, so it will still take us a little while to get through this. Maybe I can speed it up by whizzing from end to end like this. There we go. I've always loved watching the corn get sort of pulled through the header, you know, in this game. You just see the stalks getting pulled down and then chewed up, carried inwards by the auger at the end. Those teeth start to spin up there as we turn the header back on. You would not want to get yourself caught in that. I did see a picture posted in one of the groups that I'm in recently of a deer, a stag I think it was, with antlers just all over the place, and just caught up in the teeth of a really wide version of one of these headers. I don't know exactly what size it was, probably a good 16 row header I would have thought, maybe a 12 row header, but it's definitely a big one of these. I think it was on a John Deere tractor, and it was just this this animal was just stuck between the teeth, and it was not a pretty sight. You would not want to get caught in there. You would lose something. Be it an arm, a leg, whatever you get stuck in there, it's gone. Or certainly mangled to the point where it has to get amputated. Very, very nasty. So I was reading your comments from the previous episode. There seems to be a bit of extra sort of love out there for Deutz Fahrm. I'm really kind of gutted that we still don't have any more Deutz equipment in terms of machinery. There's so much scope for Deutz to be improved in this game. I think I've said it before that when my first exposure to farming sim was as a chance to actually play it was Farming Sim 14 on my PS Vita, and there were two main brands in that. There were other bits and bobs in there as well, like Lamborghini was in there. Lamborghini seems to always be in a farming sim game, from what I can tell, but Deutz and Case were the two main brands in that. I don't think New Holland was in it at all, and they were the ones that supplied most of the tractors and all of the combines. It was just Deutz and Case, and the Deutz stuff was actually the larger stuff. So I think if you wanted the biggest tractor, then it was Case because you had the quad track, but if you wanted the biggest harvester, it was a Deutz Fahrm combine. And then I got Farming Sim 15 on my PS4, and there was practically no Deutz stuff in there at all, and I was a bit disappointed. And I thought, well, maybe we'll get a little bit more in 17. And in 17, well, we got 3 Deutz Fahrm tractors instead of 2, and that was it. So, in fact, I don't even think, did we have a second tractor? I think we had a second Deutz Fahrm tractor in Farming Sim 15. Again, it's been a while, can't remember exactly, but we may not even have had a second tractor. It may have just been the AgroStar. Or it may have been a Series 7 in there as well. But yeah, I mean, this, we've got the Series 7, we've got the Series 9, obviously we've got our little AgroStar, but there's no combines, and I would love to have a Deutz combine on this. If we had a small Deutz pack that maybe brought in a small combine and a large combine, and maybe one extra tractor, maybe a more modern, small Deutz tractor, or maybe a larger, old Deutz tractor, which would, I suppose, be sort of a mid-range tractor. That would be quite a nice expansion, I think. We do need, I think, more variety in the combines. I mean, it's great that we've had the mod combine in the Massey pack from Black Sheep as an extra combine, as a mod. But we've got the Massey, the Fendt brands. They're obviously new this time out, thanks to the AGCO license that Giants acquired. But the New Holland combines are the same, the Case combines are the same, just with a slightly different configuration. This is the same. The Rostelmash stuff is the same, although we are missing the little mini Rostelmash that we got as an individual DLC purchase last time out. They obviously released the 2 Rostelmash combines as part of the Gold expansion for Farming Sim 15, and then they released a tiny and I have to say pretty terrible combine with as a single item DLC for like 170 or something, 180, something like that. I bought it and I tried it and I used it and had the worst turning circle of any vehicle in the game. It was horrible to use. It took you an eternity to turn around at the end of every field. But yeah, I still think a little bit more variety in combines would be nice, because apart from the mid-range, the bottom end combines are exactly the same. Obviously we've got that old Case combine kind of thrown in there this time as well, which is nice. But the smallest combine still is this Commia C6. The biggest combine is still the CR1090 from New Holland, and the next biggest is the Case 9320. 9320. They're the same as they were 3 years ago when Farming Sim 15 came out. So it would be nice to see something different at the top and bottom of the scale. It's great that we've got some variety in the middle, but it'd be nice to see something different at the top and bottom of the scale, I think, as well. So bring back Deutz. Bring back some more Deutz stuff. That would be really nice to see. And obviously we're going to have this new combine next week. Well, I say next week. In the next day or two, with the Platinum expansion, we're going to have, I forget the name of the brand now, but it's that Polish company that is licensed to sell in Brazil. Cannot for the life of me remember what it's called now. We've got their combine, which is quite a small combine, going to be added in as part of the Platinum expansion. But I'd love to see Deutz back in a big way. It's just an iconic brand, and it needs better representation than it has right now, I think. And I don't know if that's simply because of the money they spent on acquiring the AGCO license, plus all the other stuff that they wanted to bring in, plus they wanted to I think they were contractually obliged to put a lot of New Holland stuff in again as part of a deal that they had with New Holland. So I don't know if that's why it's been to the detriment of Deutz Fahrm. Maybe I mean, I don't really know the loadouts from the games before Farming Sim 15, because apart from 14 on the Vita, oops, did not pay attention to my fill level there. Apart from Farming Sim 14 on the Vita, I haven't played anything, full scale wise, other than Farming Sim 15 and this one. So it's possible that Deutz has featured very heavily in the past, and maybe they just wanted to freshen the lineup and take Deutz down a little bit to make way for other stuff. Maybe Deutz will come back in the next game. Who knows? But I would definitely love to see a little bit more Deutz stuff, especially seeing as I'm doing this themed farm now. Alright, that's enough. Let's get this field finished, because we are very, very close to getting it done, and we are almost out of time as well. Just gone past the 52-minute mark or so. So we'll just get this last little strip done. We've got a couple of little bits knocking around. Oops. Just tidy that up. We can grab that now. There we go. Oh, it's going to be like this all the way up, isn't it? I've just run over those pieces as well, so they're not there now when I go back to get them. There we go. It's normally so much easier to just hold a straight line when you're working row crops. There we go. We're cooking on gas now. Nothing knocking around at that end of the field. Let's very quickly just go grab that last tiny bit just over there, and then we'll finish the unload, and that'll be it. So yeah, next time out we'll get the baling done, and then if we have time we'll get a start on the ploughing, and then we'll also get the cultivating going as well. So that's it for episode 2 of Deutz Fahrm. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying this new little series that I'm trying out here. It's all small scale stuff. It's all in cab stuff where where applicable, and it's all done in real time, so to speak. There's no editing. So let me know if you're liking this sort of this style. So it's a little bit different from the stuff I've done recently. It's kind of a little throwback to when I first started on Fent Farm. And I will see you all again with some more some more Deutz Fahrm very, very soon.